Okay, so this is going to be a harder problem. What's harder about this one? Well, we have a square root. That's no big, we've done one of those already, but then also we have x's on the other side. So let me show you the exam one notes. Here they are. Here's the exam one notes that I provided for you at the top of the unit one module. They're solving square roots with only numbers and solving square roots with x's on the other side. Ah, that's our situation here. So these are the steps we need to follow. Step number one, get the square root alone. Step two, parentheses second power both sides. So let's go through it. So, all right, so step one, get the square root alone. Well, it already is alone. We don't have to do anything. It already is alone. Okay, that was easy. Step two, parentheses second power both sides. Why do we parentheses second power both sides? Because that's what gets rid of a root. Remember, they're opposites of each other. Two powers in roots are opposites of each other. And so that's what we do. Whenever we've got a two power, we root both sides. Whenever we have a root, we two power both sides, don't we? That's how we handle that. They're opposites. So I put parentheses two power and parentheses two power. Now, notice I have to put the parentheses around the whole right side and the whole left side like that. That's step two. Okay, now on over here on the left side, the root and the two power cancel. Each other. The two power and the root cancel each other, don't they? Remember, they're opposites. So this is just x plus 101. That's easy. But on the other side, there's no root to cancel. So we must write two of them. In other words, you've got to write x plus 11, x plus 11. That's what a two power means, doesn't it? It means two of them. And you see how on the right side, there's no root to cancel it out. So you got to write two of them. All right. Now, step three, multiply out the right side. So the left side just stays as it is, x plus 101. The right side, you've got to multiply. What do I mean multiply out? Remember how do you guys know how to multiply two terms with two terms? The x, this x will go first. He'll go to that one and to that one. So that'll be x squared plus 11x. And now he's done. And then the 11 will have his turn. He'll go to that, and that'll be plus 11x. Plus 11 times 11 is 121. So it's first to both, second. So the first x goes to both of the other two, and then the plus 11 goes to both of the other two. First to both, second to both. That's how you multiply out two parentheses. It's called FOIL also. First to both, second to both. I'll write that. First to both. The first x to both. The second plus 11 to both. Okay. So now what? Well, let me just call it step 4. Gather like terms. So we have x plus 101. The right side is going to be x squared. 11x and 11x is 22x. Like that. So we gathered like terms. Now, what in the world? Doesn't seem like it's getting any better, does it? What's going on now? Well, now x squared. So get a 0. Oops. Get 0 on the side opposite of x squared. Zero on the left. So we're going to get 0 on the left side. That's, now you might wonder, where did this come from? Well, actually, this is what we always did whenever we had x squared. Remember in the very first section in the course, 2.5, we solved x squareds. And what's the game plan whenever we solve an x squared equation? Get a 0 on the opposite side. So I'm going to make this left side, I want to make this left side become 0. What's going to make the left side become 0? Well, you got to get rid of this x. You got to get rid of this 101. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do the same thing to the other, don't you? You don't have any choice there. You got to keep the balance, treat them the same. There's the wall of separation. So what do we get then? We get x squared. 22x minus, this is an invisible 1x, is 21x. And then 121 minus 101 is 20. So we get a 0. Now what are we going to do? Now we've got an x squared equation. Well, you have two options here. You can, step 6, a long problem, factor with the 2 parentheses or do the quadratic formula. Either way, it's fine. I found that students tend to prefer the quadratic formula. So I'm just going to do that. So negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Remember, a is the 1. It's the number in front of x squared. There's no number, so that's 1. B is the 21 and c is the 20. So what do we got here? Negative b, negative 21 plus or minus the square root of b squared, 21 squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. And so what's that? Minus 21 plus or minus the square root of 21 squared. I don't have any idea what that is. 441. Minus, I did multiply 4 times 1 times 20. That's just going to be 80. All over 2. Let's keep going. We're getting close. This is minus 21 plus or minus the square root of 441 minus 80. What's that? 361. All over 2. Which is minus 21 plus, if you square root the 361, you get 19. Like that. This problem just keeps going and going. Okay, and now we do the two options because the plus or minus, remember, means two different options. Minus 21 plus 19 over 2 or minus 21 minus 19 over 2. The two different options. And so what's that? Minus 2 over 2, which is negative 1, or minus 40 over 2, which is negative 20. There are the two answers. But it seems like we should be done by now, doesn't it? But we have to check them. Remember, any problem that begins with the square root, and one of these answers is a bad one. So let me write that, and then we'll be done. Any problem starting with a root must check the answers by plugging into the original. So you got to do them both. You got to check them both. So the first one, the x is negative 1 answer. Let's check it. How am I going to check it? We'll go back to the original. What was the original? There it is. Square root of x plus 101 is x plus 11. So square root of x plus 1. That was the original, right? Now I'm going to plug in right there and there, -1, and see if it works or not. So I'm going to plug in the -1 in both spots. Let's see what we've got here. We get the square root of 100 is 10. That's 10 equals 10. Yeah, that works. 10 equals 10. That checks. That worked. How about the other one? Come over here. I'm going to check the other one, which was x equals, what was our other answer? -20. -20. See if that works. Back to same thing. Going to plug into the original. X plus 101 is x plus 11. Plug in the -20, plug in the -20. So we get -20 over here, -20. And this is square root plus 101 equals plus 1. Let's see. This is the square root of 81 if you use your calculator. This is -9. This is square root of 81's 9. That equals -9? No. Does not check. So what does that mean? That means this is a bogus and bad and false answer. So the only answer that checks out and is true is x equals -1. That's the real and only answer to this problem. The -20 does not check, so it's out. So that's a lot of work. So there it is. Look at all that work. So what did we have to do? We had to get the square root alone. It already was. Second power both sides. That canceled out the root. Then we had to multiply out this right side. We got x squared. And whenever we see x squared, we've got to get a 0 on the other side. So we got rid of this side to make a 0. And then we plugged this stuff into the quad. We got our two answers, -1, -20. We checked them both out by plugging into the original. The -1 checked out. The other one didn't. So at -1 is the only answer.